I think that it's going to be something like this. We've prepared both quarterbacks. They're both ready to play. And, we think that it's in our best interest to have them both ready. And they'll be ready.
And what you've seen after what you told us about Costello,
Yeah.
you've seen more film of him and stuff like that. What impresses you about him?
Well, I think it starts with he's gritty. So grit is, for me, sustained effort over a long period of time, even though you have some ups and downs. He's not perfect. Nobody's perfect. So he'll, have a couple plays that maybe don't go his way, but he hangs in there. And, I think regardless of what the situation, he just keeps playing and makes plays and gets his team back in the game. So I think grit would be the first thing that stands out to me. And then he can fit balls into tight windows. Oregon was in pretty good coverage late in the game, and he was able to fit the ball into tight windows. So, just grit, moxie. He just has a good, character set there to help his football team win.
And it also helps that he's got some pretty good size receivers.
There's no doubt. I mean, that's what makes them, very difficult to defend. The size and they're very, very smart and savvy receivers. They play back into the defenders, and they know how to, obviously control themselves, playing for the football. So, yeah, they're certainly a challenge.
Brian, another quarterback question.
Yeah.
With a guy like Phil Dracovic, how do you measure him being up with the varsity and not having any reps versus doing scout team, getting lots of reps, but not really learning the Notre Dame offense?
Yeah. So I think what you have to do is look at how he handles himself with, the control and command of running that offense. He still has to be controlling it, with cadence and making sure guys line up right and throwing the football. I mean, we look, it's not a bum's rush there where, we can't hold up and, that D line is hitting him every down. He's allowed. There's a halo around him too. He's got a red shirt on. So he's out there throwing the ball. So you can evaluate his accuracy. You can evaluate his ability to put the ball on receivers. Now, because we want to finish the play for our defensive backs and linebackers and safeties. So I'm able to watch his film every day and sit down and talk to him about some things that we like and some things that we want to continue to work on. So I don't want to paint a picture of that he's not working on the skill development of the quarterback. He's just not working on specific game plan from week to week. If we had a week with him, we would be able to game plan an offensive structure for him. We just, we don't have him for that. But he's still developing his skills as a quarterback.
Brian, you've outscored your opponents 38-6 in the first quarter. What do you think are the reasons behind that? That's a lot of people.
Tim, there's been years where, we've looked at how great we've been in the fourth quarter, but we haven't won games and vice versa. I think we've gotten, look, me, I take the football each and every week because I like the percentages of scoring first equals a high percentage of winning football games. We've gotten off to good starts, but I can't give you a great answer other than, we've been really effective in those first drives of games, and including when Brandon was in the game. We weren't with Ian, but yet we scored 56 more points, right? So I just think that we don't script plays. Chip's not a scripter of the first 15 plays and we go off for script. It's just been, getting in a rhythm. So I wouldn't read too much into it.
What's to say about your defense, though? I mean, obviously they're coming out sharp as well.
Well, I think that that's probably more of the answer to the question is that they've played really well as the offense is, early in the season hasn't really been consistent. And I think that that's been the story in the first quarter.
Is Kramer ready to start? Is he healthy enough to start?
Yeah, he's going to play quite a bit. I think Ruin you'll see in the game as well. And we're getting, really good play out of Banks too. we'll see how much he plays, but feel really good about that.
Komet back?
Yes, he is. Yep, practiced all week, had a good week. Yeah, I know. It is really wow. I mean, our trainers are, but he's a young kid, he's got great DNA. Sometimes you're just very blessed and fortunate. He hasn't had an ankle injury before of any kind of, severity. So all those things clicked in his favor, and looks good running around.
Last week during the game, McDonough and Blackledge said that you mentioned, you talk about being able to free, he hadn't started games this year yet. You mentioned Baker Mayfield because of the energy that he brings, and also the Trace McSorley comparison to Penn State. I mean, what prompts you to make those kind of comparisons?
Well, size, and they both are. When you look at them, you go, "Oh, they're not runners of the football." Ian Book is a skilled player. I mean, one of the things he does really well is people kind of don't look at him as a skilled player, but I mean, he can roll out to his left, throw the ball to his left, to his right. Those are athletic throws that he can make under center that are really difficult, and those guys can do those things as well. They're very athletic, and I think sometimes we kind of don't see him as really athletic. He's a very athletic player, and he bounces around. He has an energy to him that injects it into the other 10 players. And so that's where the comparisons were. They weren't about who they are as people. I don't know those two people. Size and style and energy that they bring.
Shane Simon was on the travel list. I don't think he played last week. Is he a guy that maybe you're saving? Are you saving games there, or is he banged up, or what?
No, he's not banged up. No, I think he's just in a position where, we're cross-training him at the linebacker position as well. So, there's a bit of a learning curve.
He went deep into your bench defensively in the fourth quarter. I don't think he got in.
No, he did not. I think we were looking at Asmar didn't play very much because we didn't play with a rover, so we wanted to get him some reps inside. So I think it probably canceled out some of his playing time.
How does Stanford's pace of play affect your defensive line rotation?
It's not of the many kind of questions that their offense brings to you. It's probably like not even on the list. Okay, so I think Wake Forest was second in the country, and they're like 122nd in pace.
Like 35 plays difference.
Yeah, it's a huge difference. Huddle, and all that. So, we'll still rotate in the manner that we have. Guys will get into the game, but it certainly changes. I don't think they had, I think they were under 60 plays last week.
Yeah, they've only gone over 61 times.
Yeah, so we're going to play our top guys, but this won't be a situation where we feel like we've got to get a guy out if just to get him out. We're going to play our guys.
Yeah, it could be like a series in the second quarter.
Yeah, it won't be a preordained, hey, fourth series, you're out. We haven't played that way this year very much at all.
And when Book's in the game, I'm curious, what impact you feel like it has on your tight end group, whether it's the multiple tight end sets down in the blue zone, or the way Mac was, featured, but contributed quite a bit in the passing game last week. Is he just a good match with them based on skill set?
No, I think it just opens up, the kind of passing game that, fits the offensive structure. And the tight end's always been part of it. It's just that, Ian is somebody that is going to find the tight end, and, he's been part of it. It's just those are the kind of throws that he can get the tight ends involved.
We've seen Julian play basically in all three spots. Does it challenge the other guys for him to move around? I mean, this seems like a game where if someone's hot on Stanford, Julian Love might be the guy that would do well in the field cornerback spot. How much does it challenge the other two guys?
Well, I think more than anything else is it allows our guys to compete and practice at a higher level because they see the what Julian's doing, and they obviously want to raise their play. So I think we've had a pretty competitive week, because we've gone against them quite a bit. We used, a lot of red zone work with Cole Kmet and Alizé and Chase Claypool and, Miles Boykin. We've got some big fellows too. So it's been pretty competitive this week.
Brian, circling back to the freshmen, are there any in that group who you initially thought we're going to limit them to 4, and now you just said, forget it. We need them. They're going to play. Forget the redshirt year this year.
I can't think of anybody that. I think the only guy that's probably on the bubble would be Joe Wilkins. Tariq Bracy is probably going to play more than 4 games. Those 2 guys probably stand out for me as 2 that are they're not going the other way. I think that they're going to break through that 4 game sooner or later.
Wimbush didn't have a headset on during the game last week, and I don't think Book did when he wasn't playing. Why wouldn't you want your backup quarterback to be kind of tuned in to everything that's being called and said and shared?
We had a pretty lengthy discussion about it. We want them observing the game, seeing the game, sensing the game, feeling the game. Having the headset, there's a lot of chatter. There's a lot of chatter going on that is not useful to seeing the game, feeling the game. Tommy feels like he can get the kind of information necessary to those guys and have conversations with them. So there were some pros and cons to it. We were looking with the new headset rule to get them on an earpiece, which would limit what they could, having that chatter. But they couldn't hear very well because it's so loud in the stadium that they didn't have. We tried it and they just didn't like it. So we said, all right, forget about it. Let's just go and be part of the game, and really absorb it. So that was just a choice that we had after a staff meeting. Well, there's four headsets that can be on current players, and so we have 2 of them on signalers. So we actually have 4 of them on signalers. So we'd have to switch them out. So we were going to use 2 of those to be just earpieces, and we tried it in our bench control, and the guys didn't like it. So it was something that we thought about, talked about, had discussions about, and felt like this was the best way to go.
Brian, I know when you mentioned to me once with Drew, he was kind of the guy you had to bang the table for to get them to take.
Mm-hmm.
I just wondered, did you envision this possibility of being an inside linebacker and being this versatile at that position when you were recruiting, or even 2 years ago?
I thought he was. He would impact our program from a toughness standpoint. Would he end up at Buck linebacker? No, I don't know that I envisioned that. But I knew that his demeanor, the way he handled himself, he was going to be a positive impact on our football program.
Thank you, guys.
All right.